Welcome, Trick Trackers. I'm Scott Taggart, and I've created a series of videos to walk you through the creation and use of the Tricktracks custom navigation maps for Garmin GPS devices. I'm making these videos from the world headquarters of the Tricktrack Development Labs. Let's get started. In this video, I'll describe the basic features of Tricktracks and why you might want to use Tricktracks custom maps for your Garmin devices. In later videos, I'll discuss how to create and load Tricktracks custom maps into Garmin devices. At its core, Tricktracks is a free web-based software tool that creates custom Garmin maps from GPX or KML files, as well as a few other navigation file types. Tricktracks is far more simple than dealing with GPX files, routes, and etc. A custom Garmin map in this context is simply an overlay on your existing Garmin installed maps. Think of it as a limited version of a topo map. Like all maps, TrickTrack maps can be turned on or off in your device, individually or collectively. You can have 0, 1, or many TrickTrack maps displayed at once. It's up to you. TrickTracks is compatible with any Garmin device that supports custom loaded maps. All such devices have the microSD chip slot. In the links below, I'll list the compatible devices. Let me give you a very brief history of Tricktracks. In 2017, I was looking for a better way to navigate on my motorcycle in difficult conditions such as off-road riding where it's dusty and very rough. I had used some custom navigation maps for Garmin before that had fat lines, and these worked pretty well, but the creator of those maps would not create their own maps. Being a software engineer for 40 years, I decided to create my own tools to create great custom maps. Tricktracks was born. Initially, I used it for my own navigation and rides that I would create and lead, but I decided that others could use it. So as a give back to the motorcycling community, I created a free-to-use website where anyone could create their own custom maps. First, how do you find Tricktracks on the web? In your browser, type in tricktracks.org, and you'll see this website, and then go down to green button that says Garmin Custom Map Maker. Click on that, and that will take you to this sort of complicated looking website, which I'll go over. But before we get into any of that, let me give you an overview of the core differences and features between the standard Garmin GPX track lines and Tricktracks maps. Before I proceed, let me note that I will not be discussing how to create or edit tracks and GPX files. I assume you will do this elsewhere. Please use other resources to create GPX files. Let me show you visually in Basecamp the difference between a standard track line on a Garmin device versus Tricktracks maps. So here I have Basecamp, and I'll show you a simple set of tracks that I've created. You'll notice different colors and different shapes. There's some waypoints here. For example, here's a circle waypoint. Here's a flag waypoint. And you'll notice the circles are different color, green and blue. But immediately we see that these lines, if they're displayed in normal scale, are fairly thin, and they're kind of hard to see on your Garmin device. So what I'm going to do now is show you a Tricktracks map overlay on this same thing, the same set of tracks that I was displaying. And you'll immediately notice that the lines are very wide, or what we call fat lines. And you'll also notice there's directional arrows. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. But we see direction to these arrows, to these lines. And then as we zoom in a little more, we notice that there's these round, what we call targets, and they're shaded and they're labeled. Now I just labeled them very simply waypoint 7, waypoint 3, and that kind of thing. But let's zoom out a little bit. And we'll notice that there's different size targets. There's standard, what we call quarter-mile targets. It's a quarter-mile radius. There's half-mile targets, which is a half-mile to the outer ring, quarter-mile to the inner ring. And then there's 1-mile targets. It's a mile from the green to the center, half-mile from the yellow to the center, quarter-mile from the red to the center. And then on any waypoint, there's what we call a 1/8 ring also. So these targets, as you're riding along, let's say we're on this track here, and we're riding along, we will hit this yellow edge. It'll look like this in the GPS, although it'll be orientated at the top. We'll notice the ring and we'll notice the shading. That gives us a signal that there's something important coming up. Targets can be used to indicate a critical turn, an intersection, a meeting point, things like that. Anything that's important on your route, you can drop a waypoint in the GPX file and you'll get this target. And you can control the size of these targets based on which waypoint you drop. Mileage markers, if we zoom in a little bit, we see this hexagonal shaded area. And in the center, it's a little hard to read on Basecamp, but on your device, it will be much easier to read. Let me zoom in. And you'll see this, it says mile 10, and then in brackets, it says 8. Let me do a little better job at finding one. There we go. Let me zoom in again. Okay, so it says mile 10, and in brackets it says 8. That means we've gone 10 miles on this line, and there's 8 miles left in this track. Mileage markers are automatically generated by Tricktracks, and you can turn them on and off, and you can configure these distances. The standard distance is 5 miles, each 5 miles. And also, for our non-US users, we support kilometers. Another quick note about mileage markers is if you zoom out far enough, you can see that they disappear. And this is done so that if you've got your GPS zoomed way out, the mileage markers don't clutter up the display. Now, some other notes about Tricktracks is that all tracks in a single GPX file are converted into a single map. So each GPX file represents one custom map. So if there's one track in the file or 1,000 tracks in the file, they get converted into a single Tricktracks overlay map. So you can have very complicated maps with consisting of hundreds or thousands of tracks. You can do things like take multi-day rides and convert them to a single track, or if you wanted, you could say you had a 7-day ride, you could take and create 7 separate maps that are you can enable and disable in your device one at a time or all at once, whatever you like. As long as you don't have overlaps in your tracks from day to day to day, it makes more sense to just create one large map that you can turn on and off. This means there's no more futzing around with tracks in the device. Traditionally, when you loaded a GPX file into your device and say it had 100 tracks, you would see all 100 tracks. You'd have to turn them on and off. You'd have to set their color. You'd have to do all of that. With the Tricktracks map, it's all or none, very easy, on or off. No more futzing around. A few quick points about what Tricktracks is not. It does not provide turn-by-turn instructions. It's just a map overlay. The device treats it as just a display object. There's no instructions, there's no turns, there's no nothing that the device knows about. No rerouting ever occurs. Again, the device doesn't know anything about these lines. It just displays them for you. It's useful for motorcycle or other navigation where you need highly visible lines that never change regardless of the GPS's routing or settings. It's great for motorcycle riding, off-road riding, bicycling, 4x4ing, etc. So that's a summary of what Tricktracks is and why you may want to use it. The next video, I'll walk you through how to use the Tricktracks website and create your first custom Tricktracks map.